Coming up this week on Sporting Journal Radio.
I hit that thing. I thought, holy hell, was going to break loose. This guy turned around. I thought he would chop me up.
They'd call me and ask me, hey, Joe, we got this guy who's with the largest fishing magazine in Europe. Would you take him fishing?
I fish, I hunt, and always will. Broadcasting from the Prairie Sportsman Studios. Presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. We're not just a radio show anymore. Heck yeah. This is Sporting Journal Radio.
That's right. Welcome to the show. I'm Bret Amundson along with Dan Amundson and David Eckhardt. How you fellas doing?
Doing good.
Hey.
Got a fun... Did you have something to say there?
No, you cut me off. I forgot.
Fun show for you this week. Pat Kalmerton is going to join us. Also, Joe Henry. We'll talk about how the walleye opener was for everybody. We'll talk about why you might want to plan a trip to Horicon Marsh, either in the fall or maybe in the spring. And we'll talk about minnow farming. It's all coming up this week on this show. Dan, who are the sponsors?
This week we have, there's the video. I think it's playing OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. Live Target Lures match hatch this summer at livetargetlures.com. Lake of the Woods Tourism. Plan a trip to the walleye capital of the world, Lake of the Woods, at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. Haybell Heights Campground and Resort. Book a trip to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Learn more at haybellheights.com. Al Claire Audio. Save your hearing in the field next fall with Al Claire. Learn more at alclaireoutdoors.com. Ottertail Lakes Country. Find your inner otter at ottertaillakescountry.com. And Prairie Sportsman, we forgot to change this video. The new season's over, but you can watch all of those episodes on the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel or prairiesportsman.org. .org,
yeah.
Yes.
And the beauty of that too, Dan, actually, depending on where you are and what PBS station you have, the new episodes might just be starting for you.
Well, this is true.
PBS station. So the new season is currently going on. We've wrapped it up on Pioneer PBS, but you can watch them now on the YouTube channel. All right, man, we are dealing with some smoke. There's a lot of wildfires going on in Alberta and Saskatchewan right now. I couldn't believe it when I walked outside. Let's see, what day? Thursday morning I walked outside, and it smelled like there was a campfire in the yard.
It's crazy how smoky it is outside.
You could smell the smoke, and I don't know if we have the graphic from Canada there, Dan. I kind of threw this one at him, but lots of wildfires burning up there. I think, what did you say? There was like 20 in Saskatchewan and 400
something in Alberta. I'm pulling up the Alberta. Yeah, 488 current
Holy
year
smokes.
wildfires. Okay, I guess there's only 93 active ones. I'm looking at this now.
Okay.
Hang on here. Here it is. You can look at it there. So they're not super far north. Well, they're starting to creep a little further north, but a lot down in that part of Alberta.
Yeah, that's kind of like the central or southern part. There's Lake Athabasca up in the corner.
Yeah.
And we're watching that corner up there where Tasman Lake is.
Ice-free Tasman Lake, by the way.
Yeah, they opened June 14. We're heading up at the end of July. Cannot wait to get back up to Tasman Lake Lodge for world record-sized lake trout, 50-inch northern pike, and more. Find out more at tasmanlake.com. Dan, you just spent the last, 5-6 days fishing around northern Minnesota?
You bet. I fished every day of the season up until Thursday, I think. Unless I snuck out Thursday. I guess I don't know if I did or not.
Hard to keep track.
Yeah, I did. It is. Or it's because the show's pre-recorded and it's not Thursday evening yet. But
You still got time.
there's still time. When you get images like this from your day, you know you're having fun. You're catching a lot of walleyes. We did a few of the biggest lakes, and I'd consider some of the best lakes in the world. We did Winnie Saturday, I did Leech Saturday, Winnie Sunday, Red Monday, and then Lake of the Woods. I spent a little bit of time at Lake of the Woods and caught a bunch of fish, learned some things, had some ups, had some downs, but it's a jig bite. I love a jig bite. Found some decent fish, no monsters, but it was a good time. And anytime it's a good jig bite, and it's all on film, so it'll be coming to the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel, so you can check it out there. But northern Minnesota is full of just super awesome lakes, and I thought of how cool it is that I got to just drive within an hour or two of each of those lakes and be hitting another top tier lake, walleye lake, I would say in the world. I know there's really good lakes out in the Columbia River in Washington, lakes in Canada, Lake Erie, but to have this many solid lakes in one region is pretty special, and I think we take it for granted a lot in Minnesota.
Tell us how you caught those fish on red.
Jig and a plastic or a minnow, but the coolest part was live scope. And I'll have some footage of this, but I didn't start this way. I started just by kind of trolling around with a crankbait or something. looking for fish on my live scope. I have my live scope mounted on the trolling motor, so I would just pan back and forth, and I'd see fish. I'd hit spotlight, and I would just fan cast around, and I was picking away at fish with that. And then my buddy John Krumzig hopped in the boat, and he's like, here, this is how we did it the other day. And we just drifted with the wind. We weren't tied to a certain depth. We just drifted around, panned around.
That's because he didn't have an anchor anymore.
No, I had my anchor at that point. But we just drifted around and there's a bait ball, there's 3 fish, and we'd pitch at them, and you'd get bit or you wouldn't, and then we'd move on to the next and just keep drifting around, look for fish, cape 30 feet that way, cast, and we'd double up, or we'd cast and we'd get 1, or we'd cast and miss and get 0, and caught a few crappies too, so the crappies are still there. They're a little trickier to get the bite, but red is absolutely on fire. That bite will be slowing down here in the next few days, I'm sure, but it was one of my better days of walleye fishing, we'll put it that way.
You're really putting the new boat through its paces.
Yeah, it hasn't broke yet, so I think it's all right. But
just some dead batteries.
Well, yeah. When you leave your live well lights on and
that's what happened.
Yeah, so I left the live well lights on. I didn't know I turned them on. It was just accidental. And then I have a graph wired in there too, and that was running all day. And I didn't use my outboard much. And I think I might have been charging some GoPro batteries off that too. So it just all of a sudden you look and you see your graph reading 8 volts. It's not going to start.
Well, watch for the video coming to the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. And David, I wanted to show you this. So I was at my parents', and my dad's like, hey, so your brother was over here, and he got one of my 22s, and he wanted to go plink around with it. I don't think I'm getting it back. So why don't you take this gun? I'm like, heck yeah. So it's a single shot 28 gauge.
Nice.
Look at this.
And we just got demonetized on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. It is Pardner model SP something or other. New England Firearms. So check it out though. Hold it.
Yeah, that thing's
See how
awesome.
small it is.
Yeah, tiny.
I'll bring it over to you. You can just sit there with it.
New England Firearms. I have a newer version, the Pardner Pump. Man, 28s are small.
Hold it up.
Yeah, look how small.
Well, like shoulder it. Put it on your shoulder.
It's like holding a BB gun.
Yeah, it really is. This is like the same size as a Red Ryder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You'll shoot your eye out.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a fun rabbit gun though for your rabbit hunt?
Oh, besides the single shot.
Yeah.
But there are guys that bring a single shot 410, which I have seen kill a rooster, which was unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, that's the first gun I used was a single shot 410. And it was about the same size as that 28 gauge right there. But
It's a sharp looking little gun though.
it's cool. Like I want to put it on the wall, but I kind of want to try to shoot a pheasant with it next fall.
Do you think
for
you
sure.
could kill a turkey with it, David?
I guarantee I could miss one.
Prairie Sportsman episode, go watch it.
Although this thing probably doesn't shoot left and right.
Or
probably shoot.
it might.
It might,
Yeah,
but it's
who knows?
more likely to shoot dead center.
So I'm pretty excited about that little gun right there. That was kind of a fun new addition to the gun safe.
Do you know what year it is?
You know what? I just got it. I honestly haven't done any digging on it at all. My dad was into coins, and he was doing a coin buy, and this woman, her husband had passed away. So he's over there, buying coins, and he sees this gun in the corner, and he's like, well, how much for the shotgun, or what's the story with that? And she's like, oh, he just had it behind the door, all the time. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, you can buy that too. So he bought that, and then called me up. He's like, do you want a single shot 28 gauge? Yeah, I sure do. So I wanted a 28 gauge, but I didn't really like the single shot. It's kind of a novelty, really, more than anything. It's just kind of neat, but kind of a fun gun there. David, I was over at Horicon, and we're going to talk more about Horicon Marsh. If you know about Horicon, you know it's kind of a cool area. If you don't know about it, it's the largest freshwater cattail marsh in the United States, 32,000 acres. It's in southeast Wisconsin. Pat Kalmerton and I were out there this past weekend. We're going to talk more about that with Pat coming up later in the show. But David, we were there seeing whooping cranes, and I was telling you off air about seeing whooping cranes because I thought that was pretty cool. And you had a whooping crane story.
Yeah, so my cousin's husband, they live out in central South Dakota. And I don't remember, it was must have been Christmas. He was telling us the story, and there was one killed on their land.
Oh boy.
And it turns out, I mean, the FBI was out there doing tire tread prints. And,
Jeez.
yeah, it was a big deal, and there was a reward for information, but yeah, it ended up,
there's only 800 of them in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that there was some investigation.
ended up being some farmhand, not one of theirs, I don't think, but like some 26-year-old kid just shot it with a rifle out of the tractor, and I guess that's the story. But yeah, it was a $85,000 fine.
Oh,
Wow.
I think it might be more money than if you shot an eagle. I think that's like $50,000.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, when you think about it, there's a lot of bald eagles out there now. Obviously, they're very protected. But whooping cranes, and first of all, they all got transmitters and
every
trackers.
one of them is
and,
GPS tracked.
Yeah.
Like when they come through that area, they shut down all the wind towers and everything, and they just want to protect them. And yeah, and that was back in 2012. It got shot, so it's been over a decade, but yeah,
Wow.
still pretty crazy.
Let that be a lesson to you. Don't shoot whooping cranes. They're pretty cool. If you like sandhill cranes, and to me, sandhill cranes are awesome. These are just like albino sandhill cranes, pretty much. So you think about it, they got no camo.
what do they sound like?
They sound very similar to sandhills.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they'd have like a whoop. Where's the name come from then?
That's a good question.
I literally thought they, flying around whoop whoop.
It's
not.
like a sandhill crane, but just a little bit different.
David, we could see you when you raised your hand.
Nope. I think my camera died.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're frozen.
up.
Okay, I thought we could see.
Nope, that's why I raised my hand.
While he fixes that, I want to say one more thing about that. Being over in Horicon, we also had the chance to film some turkey hunts over there, and we just kind of fell into some turkey hunts. And Dan, before you fix that, why don't we roll this turkey video? David, thank you very much. We'll talk with Pat Kalmerton and Joe Henry coming up in just a little bit. And this year I got to hunt with the new Sitka Equinox turkey vest, and here's what I thought of it.
Live Target, the leader in Match the Hatch, is back with new lures that also match the action. Introducing the Live Craw. The Live Craw is irresistible to bass, walleye, and other freshwater species. FTech's winner, the Ultimate Frog, looks and acts just like a swimming frog. With an exposed Ultra Point mustad hook and replaceable legs, the Ultimate Frog has 2 styles, 2 sizes, and 8 colors. And iCast and FTech's winner, the Live Shrimp, mimics a fleeing shrimp for saltwater anglers. Coming soon from Live Target. Northern Minnesota's Walleye Factory is a year-round world-class fishing destination. The perfect getaway this summer is just a short drive to Lake of the Woods. Fish Big Traverse Bay, the Rainy River, or visit the unique Northwest Angle. To catch big fish, you have to go where the big fish are. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. That's lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
All right, so last week I had the chance to go over and spend time at the largest freshwater cattail marsh in the U.S. It's Horicon Marsh, and it's just south of Lake Winnebago by Waupun, Wisconsin. And I spent time over there with Pat Kalmerton, who joins us now on the show. Pat, how you doing?
I'm good. Yourself? Long time no see, bud.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we just spent like 4 days together the whole time. Seeing a pretty cool place. I'd never been over to Horicon. You've obviously spent quite a bit of time over there. Your dad worked kind of in that region. That's a neat area over there.
It is. It's a jewel of its own. You have every opportunity to enjoy every resource that it has to offer. We've seen it in 4 days. The time that we were there, the different things that we came across was pretty impressive.
So it's 32,000 acres. A third of it's managed by Wisconsin, 2/3 of it managed by the feds. And it's, the town of Horicon is on the south end. The city of Waupun is on the north end. It's not far from Fond du Lac and Winnebago. It's like an hour from Milwaukee. So it's a chance to kind of spend some time and see some wilderness, see some wildlife, see a lot of birds. A lot of birding takes place there. There's a big birding festival that just took place there last weekend. Obviously, it's a big thing for hunters. It's kind of a historic staging area for Canada geese. But we ate, while we were there, Pat, way too much food as well. I mean, that was kind of part of our deal to see what else you could do. I mean, they wanted us to promote tourism to the area, so it was like, where can you stay? What can you do here? And I think, like that. Yeah, here's the video of Goose Candy that we went to. I think just walking in there, I might have put on a few pounds, but I didn't want to leave when we were in there, Pat.
Well, those Jelly Bellies were calling your name from the minute we got out of the car. You walk through the door and they have a abundance of Jelly Bellies to play with, and then you get over to the ice cream. I mean, they had 12 tubs of ice cream or something to choose from, and then they had all the different fudges and candies, and I don't know. You say you might have gained weight by looking at it. Well, I certainly had to try everything in there, so I know for a fact that I gained weight.
I can't believe you didn't bring me any ice cream back, Brad.
Well, that would have been tough. I was going to bring, they gave us some pretzels, some like flavored pretzels, like pizza pretzels, and there was some, lot like all that popcorn. Yeah, there's the pizza pretzels right there, and then all the popcorn. I was going to try to bring some candy back, and none of it survived. Like, none of it survived the drive back, first of all, but most of it got eaten in the hotel room pretty much at about 1 a.m. one of the nights. Most of the popcorn pretzels got chewed up, but that was it was a cool place, and we also got to see. I didn't go over there expecting to see any turkey hunts, Pat, and we filmed 2 of them while we were over there.
Well, and that all came about from the old fella that was sitting up on the overlook. I mean, we pulled up. So on the west side, you're probably going to go into this more, but on the west side of Lake Winnebago. It's all goofy, man. It's one of them where one side versus the other side, you got a lot more viewing area. We pulled up to one of the viewing areas, and up on the top there was an old boy that was kind of looking off in the la la land, and we pulled up, and I was expecting him to be looking at the marsh, looking at the feathers and stuff, looking around out on the lake and seeing what kind of species of ducks and waterfowl that you could see, and he was off looking at the woods. I was like, what in the world? And then his commentary started. Hey, listen to this. I mean, listen to this guy just go back and forth on the phone call that he was on. It was one of them where I think that we were both in agreement, said it was probably 3 hours away from pulling the trigger if it was going to happen, but we had to be back to listen to the rest of his story.
Yeah, we wanted to film the hunt and just have him narrate the hunt, just because of how hilarious it was. How he was, there's 3 toms down. He was telling his buddies that you guys got to get out here. There's 3 toms. Oh, hell, they're going this way now. Oh, they're going that way. Like, just listening to him was hilarious.
Paul Allen at turkey hunting.
Yeah,
it's very exciting.
Yeah, I bet you he had probably, he had a lineup of locals sitting there waiting for this poor bastard to pull the trigger. That was all hunting. It was something to behold.
Yeah, so I don't know, Dan, if there's any way I can get you something to pull up to showcase this, but if you pull up that story that I have on sportingjournalradio.com,
I can do that.
The sunset picture at the top of the article is the overlook that he's talking about, and that actually took that picture during, I think right after the turkey hunt, or I can't remember, during it. We sat there for 3 hours trying to watch him shoot this turkey. And if you look at this picture, and if you click on it, you should be able to enlarge the photo.
Don't tell me what to do.
So we're up here on this overlook. There's spotting scopes that people can use to try to see the water. And there's a closer pond too, but there's the big marsh. And you can look out over it and see all these birds and everything. But if you look down, and they had just burned. So this big hillside that laid below us was all real short grass, so you could see everything. And down at the very bottom in that corner, there might even be turkeys in that photo. I can't tell anymore. But where you see those dark spots by the willows down there, that's where those turkeys were. And so we sat there for 3 hours watching these guys with a decoy trying to hunt these turkeys, and the turkeys went completely the wrong direction and then rounded up all their hens and then came back, because these guys were hunting right where the roost trees were. So they figured the turkeys were going to come back eventually. They just had to wait them out. But while we were sitting there, just one car would pull up and stop, and then another car pulled up and stopped, and then pretty soon, it was just a line of cars and a line of people, and we're all watching this turkey hunt. It was like being in a stadium. It was like being at a football game, and instead of watching a football game from the nosebleeds, we were watching a turkey hunt. It was crazy.
I think I was pretty much considered the drunk guy in the stadium, because this other young fella this other young fella that came to join in on watching the hunt. Now, here's the damn thing. He's on the phone with the guy that's down in the blind, and he's talking to the guy that's down turkey hunting. The old man is commentating, but if I said one word, the young guy would look at me and go, shh. Like, what is the hell is going on here? So then I turned around and I walked away. I was going to go get a cup of coffee. I was walking, and there's like a metal diamond grate on the bottom. And I hit that thing, and I thought, holy hell, was going to break loose. This guy turned around, and I thought he would chop me up. It was,
it was kind of loud.
Yeah, I mean, there's cars and there's, horns and slamming doors and people talking everywhere. And I think I was breathing too heavy. And this guy was just like, what in the world?
He just focused on you.
It was,
I'm telling you what.
I think the biggest problem is the turkeys were not coming in. And I think everyone was getting frustrated because the turkeys weren't working. And what we realized later on is that there was just enough of a depression where the decoy was sitting that wherever these turkeys were, they couldn't see it. And finally, I think they had like 17 minutes left to go of legal shooting time. And finally, they're like, you need to grab the decoy and you need to go after him. You need to chase him. You need to get up on top of that little knob so they can see the decoy. And we're sitting there like, there's no way this is going to happen. It's over. It's not going to happen. And he starts crawling, just crawling so slow. And we're like, there's no way. There's no way he's going to get this done. And he finally gets up just high enough. And there's 3 toms, and they had the hens rounded up sufficiently, apparently. And all of a sudden, they saw that tail fan, and they went running as fast as they could towards him. And it was 2 of them, 2 younger ones, and then 1 bigger, older one. And he kind of hung back for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, he got pissed, and he took off running, and he sprinted right past the 2 younger ones. And then all 3 of them were lined up. And from what we could see, all 3 of them were lined up when he shot. And I think he put a few pellets into one of them, but they all got up and flew away. And so essentially, he missed after all of that 3 hours of going through that. And what do you think he was at, 10, 15 yards?
Probably. His buddies were giving him hell because he kept, he kept crawling at the birds that were running right at him, I guess. I wasn't focused on that part. I was focusing at the marathon runner, the one that like sprinted across everybody. If you could picture me at like a 100-yard dash at the last 10 yards and like totally blowing past everybody to get to the finish line. That's what this bigger Tom in the back was. I mean, he was just weeble wobbling all the way past them, just screaming, and then he missed. It was so sad.
Hey, what a letdown too after watching for
forever,
3 hours.
It's like watching a Vikings game.
And getting yelled at. I mean, I was getting yelled at the entire time.
I'm gonna see if I can pull up the video real quick and share my screen. But so after talking to these guys and filming this whole thing, they said, "Hey, by the way, we shoot a lot of turkeys. We hunt turkeys every day. We got a big group of guys every day. We're taking out another guy. If you want to come out Saturday morning, we got a pretty good spot." And so decided to get up at 3 a.m. Saturday morning and then go film this turkey hunt. And that one ended up going pretty well. All right, I'm going to see if I
think that might be the worst part
3 a.m.
of turkey hunting this time 100%.
Any time of year. You get up so freaking early to go do it.
Yeah.
It's like you sit there for an hour and it's got to be like 8 o'clock. Got to be almost breakfast time. It's 5:55.
Yeah. At least the early seasons.
Go ahead.
At least like the early seasons, like us, we're just coming off snow goose hunting where you're getting up a couple hours early anyway, so you're kind of in that routine. But now it's really. Like 3 a.m. wake up call sounds pretty terrible.
Awful. Everything about it.
I would like to shoot a turkey, but I would really like to sleep in.
It's fishing season.
Am I sharing my screen over here? Can you see this?
No. Try harder.
What was that, Pat?
It wasn't bad when we were early in our 20s and we just, went straight from the bar. But now, you're exactly right. What the hell am I doing?
I'm in my early 20s and I think it's terrible.
You can't see it?
No.
On my guest?
It's not there.
What are you're seeing?
It's just not, you're not sharing your screen.
Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, okay. Anyway, keep talking.
Okay.
Right now, it's almost like you have the knowledge of Patrick trying to pull things up.
Well, we do this every week professionally. Normally, I'm the one pulling it up, so I guess I'm hosting. No, I'm going to host the show now, so this is my radio show.
This won't work.
Perfect. You look better anyways.
I agree. We're out of things to talk about, though.
We
so
are.
That's the problem.
Well, no, we're not out of. You notice how he said that he got invited to go hunting? Apparently, I was too loud because I didn't. Yeah, you just hang out in the hotel room, you know. We're just going to go kill a couple birds.
They just thought you would want to sleep in.
Yeah.
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 I mean, were they wrong?
The thought of a 3 a.m. wake-up call.
I enjoyed it.
I'm going to put it on your desktop over there, Dan.
Okay,
You can try to
that's.
pull it up.
God, you're going to make my life tricky here.
Yeah, sorry about it. Well, don't complain about what I'm doing then.
Well, what you're doing is not working. What we're doing is working. We're having a great time. Why don't you stay over there in La La Land and we'll keep doing the show?
I hope majority of the people are going to be watching this because if they're listening to it and trying to see what you're putting on, it probably is working better for them.
Well, that's why it's still a radio show.
My screen share is definitely not working.
Nope, it's not.
Can we
It's
just
not here.
Can we just do a play-by-play? They can visualize it. It's almost about the same as you pulling it up right now.
I think we already did that part.
It's like a
Oh,
prairie home
that was the
companion.
first one.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to pull up the first one. The second one we'll deal with later.
The decision I got to make is how much of this gets edited out or left
Right.
in. I think it should all be left in because I think it's hilarious that Brett's struggling. We're having a great time.
I mean, I don't know why it's not working. I'm hitting
We're all
share
enjoying
screen.
each other.
You sound like the guy who's trying to give a presentation up in front of everybody at
No,
a conference and just the projector stops working.
So you're looking at my FaceTime input, right? Not the camera one to see where my screen share is.
It should be showing up in the side of my little toolbar thing here.
It's definitely not working.
Well, we're looking at you. Oh,
Nobody needs to look at me.
I'm telling you, I know where it would show up, but it's not showing up. So, did you give your computer access to your everything?
I think so.
Did you give Ecamm access to everything? Are you on mute?
I am muted. Does that make a difference?
Shouldn't. That was just my Zoom joke. Everyone on a Zoom call these days is like, "Hey, you're on mute." 'Cause they forget. Is it on my desktop yet? Do I have to?
Yeah,
try to find
it's on
it
your
now?
desktop.
Oh, okay.
It's been on your desktop.
Well, you
for
could have
this whole
said
time.
that.
I did.
You said I'm going to put it on your desktop,
Yeah,
and
it
I was
took
still hosting the show while you were
3
doing with
seconds.
that. Okay, so you go
you
back.
had a second pair of gloves the whole time.
Whole time? Well, yeah. It's the
Nice
Rockies.
cheese.
All right, so you go back to hosting the show.
All right.
I'm gonna find the thing.
Okay. Good
Big
luck.
gulp, huh?
All right. So Pat Kalmerton is our guest right now. Thank you for joining us.
Do that.
If you're just tuning in.
Yeah, let's,
Don't mind me, guys. You just find your video. We'll just hang out right here. Okay?
I'm gonna warn you. You might all disappear while I do this.
Oh, good. Great.
Well, maybe not actually. Hang on, just do your thing. Talk,
All right.
do the show.
So, Pat, we'll come back to the turkey thing, but let's talk about you. You live in Southwest Wisconsin, but you do some guiding. You've done some guiding over on Lake Michigan. You spend some time on the big lake over there.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time on the lake. It's one of them where, we've been, since I've been 12 years old, I've been running big boats out on Lake Michigan, salmon fishing, trout fishing, stuff like that, and chasing some brown trout and skinny water all the way up to the tributaries to Lake Michigan and fly fishing during the spring and fall, going up into the bay, up on the bay. We've chased. What do you got going on over there?
I don't know. We can see you wave.
Oh,
I forgot the street.
I think
Hi, Dan. Hi, Dan.
All you gotta do is this.
I think I've got the video ready to go.
It's almost like the kids at the lighthouse waving as you go by. There's Dan. Hi, guys. Little Johnny in the back of the room. But, Lake Michigan, I spent a lot of time out there. Calm days, rough days, storms, and sunny. It's one of them where she could have some hair on her teeth, and if you piss her off, she's going to make it known. But, yeah, Lake Michigan, man, I've been running out there. Let's see here. So I've been 30 years of playing out on that lake and up on the Bay of Green Bay. I've helped a couple of charter services and guide services do some layout hunts for some diving ducks. I've fished walleyes and muskies. I fished tournaments on both of them, fished salmon tournaments. I've spent a lot of time. And when I say over 30 years, I am not exaggerating, where I could probably say that out of at least 12, if you took those 30 years and condensed them down to 12, 13 years, you could say 15 hours a day, 7 days a week during the months from mid-May through mid-October, I was on that body of water.
Now, and I know you spent a lot of time in boats, which is why I wasn't worried when you showed up at Horicon in a flat bottom with an outboard. And when we kept telling everybody, hey, we want to get on the water, we want to do some things. So like, well, what kind of motor do you got on there? And you're like, whatever, 25 horse outboard, whatever it was, and they all outboard. They all kind of side-eyed each other. And there was one time where I think both of us thought we might be push pulling it for a little while.
Oh, that thing was winding. I mean, that motor, she was screaming with everything she had. When you're going at 23 miles an hour and up in front of you, you could see that water pushing. You're coming up the mud. And at that point, if you let off, you're going to be... We kept on her. That motor was just screaming. She was spitting nothing but pure mud. And, we had a stretch there about 300 yards. And when we came off of it, that motor went, yeah. I'm not exaggerating either. And we both looked at each other going, oh, no, we're a long ways up in here. And we pulled her once, and she was a little tight pulling, and I'm going, oh. And then after that, she pulled beautifully, and then we got the hell out of there. So, yeah, I was scared. I'm not going to lie. I think I was.
Well, we were just like, kind of, it was big and wide for a while, and then it started to get shallow, and then there was a river channel in the middle, and you could kind of bounce back and forth into this river channel, and there'd be openings in the cattails. So we'd be running, all of a sudden Pat'd be like, meow, and we'd cut through the cattails and be like, all right, I'm just going to brace myself just for a second here, and we'd rip through there just fine, and then we decided to go down that little stretch, and all of a sudden I could just see like a mud flat along the side of us and a bunch of shorebirds. I'm like, this is not going to end well. And you just kept her pinned and just ripped her right through there. And when you're up on plane like that, we can go through some pretty skinny water with that boat.
Oh yeah, 0.6. I mean, majority of that marsh when we're running, flat bottom with the 25 Merc on there, and I think at one point you turned around and you said 23. I'm going, not fast enough. We need more speed to get over this one, but. For the longest time, growing up, I was like a lot of people. I didn't have the funds, or my dad didn't have the funds to go get these big fancy marsh boats and, get the, matter of fact, when I was starting out hunting on the Sheboygan Marsh, we would go up and stay at the campground at Broughton's Marsh up at Sheboygan, and we'd have a 1949 Shell Lake, old wooden laugh boat, just like old Richardson. And my dad would have a 9.9 Evinrude on the back of that. And that's the days that we had an old 24-foot Tioga camper, and we would go up there for a week, and that was our deer camp. Dad was always working deer season and stuff, so duck season is very close and dear to my heart. And that's where my time was spent up on the marsh system where, during the morning you would go out and feed the dog and get things ready, and then my brother and myself would be up in the peak of this old 1949 Shell Lake. I could send you pictures and stuff like that. That's where I was raised. And, it got to the point where, over the years, that's what I hunted out of forever. And we would wax the ducks at night and pluck them and stuff like that, where nobody does that anymore. Nobody heats the wax and plucks them out and has full birds. Now you take the breasts and the legs and you're done. But, that boat is what I hunted out of all the way through high school. That is what I had access to. So I had a wooden laugh boat with a 9.9 up in the marsh systems. And as long as you were on plane, you're fine. If you weren't on plane, you were sucking duckweed and, you get, and all of a sudden you'd hit that duckweed and it wasn't getting... And it would just squeal up, and we had the same thing out on Horicon there, for at the beginning, I was like, once we're out playing, we'll be good. He kept turning around like, yeah, sure we will. Yeah, sure we will. We're going to be out here for all day. And once you're up on plane, you can go through anything. Reading that marsh, growing up with my father and shooting the old herder decoys with my BB gun, and if a red-winged blackbird came anywhere close to us, man, my target practice was getting good. But going through this marsh and looking at aerial photography, now we have the accessibility of Google Earth or Onyx or any of these, aerial photos that are somewhat current, but yet, you still are able to read the river channels and everything else. And, these pockets are where all your wildlife live. They're not going to be on the main channel. They're going to be tucked away. They're going to be in shelter. They're sitting back in the pockets. And that's where, I was hoping that we'd come across there and bust out 500 mallards that were sitting on it never happened. I mean, but during the fall, we certainly would have.
Yeah, you bet. A lot of that waterfowl, they're in, breeding pairs and kind of split up and spread out a little bit. But we definitely saw a lot of teal. There were mallards out there, a ton of Canada geese, of course, and pelicans and cormorants and some of the other birds you find in a marsh like that. One of the more interesting things I thought was we weren't getting too far out there, but we were out in it enough, and I thought we were coming up on an island. And it didn't look like much of an island. It was just kind of like a riprap shoreline with short grass on top of it. So maybe it was burned recently, and maybe it was a peninsula. I don't know. From where our vantage point, it looked like an island, and there was a sign on it. And I had to zoom in and use the binoculars or the camera or something, and it said archery only, no firearms allowed. So it must be someplace that people take a boat to deer hunt, I guess, out in the marsh, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was kind of neat, and I agree with you about the plucking and waxing. We don't wax them anymore, but we do pluck all our waterfowl now. And we used to wax geese when I was a kid, but back then you only shot a couple. Now now
one a day.
You shoot a limit of 30 geese or something. It's like, well, what are you guys doing for the next couple of days?
Right. Yeah.
But our mallards, our ducks for sure, teal and mallards, they all get plucked, and we pluck whenever we can. All right, Pat, I think we got that turkey video.
Okay, here we go. Moment of truth.
No.
And then, yeah, I think it's happening.
Is
this really happening?
I'll believe it when it happens.
Hang on. Where'd it go? Here it is. Yes.
Oh, there it is. Maybe messed up the wing a little bit, but he got away pretty healthy. But that was pretty wild to watch. Anyway, there you go. I hope you stuck around for the video. Hopefully it was worth it. All right, Pat. All right, Pat. Well, we're going to go back out there and do some filming again in the fall. There's some amazing waterfowl hunting out there. I'm looking forward to that. Of course, we'll see you in Bemidji too at the Aglow conference coming up in September. And then you're going to be doing a little bit of guiding out on Lake Michigan this summer. If people want to maybe jump in a boat with you, or maybe just get out and do some fishing on Lake Michigan with your company there, what should they do?
Yeah, you can go to the Facebook Wolfpack Adventures. You can find us out on the old websites of wolfpackadventures.com. You can call, the 207-1212 is the booking number, 920-207-1212. Talk to Jared, figure out when Patrick's going to be in town, and we'll be able to go fishing. I know June, first weekend, third weekend, fourth weekend, they'll be there playing on the boats, and July and August is going to be just as busy. So it's one of them where it's time to go fishing. You know, the colas are showing up in really good numbers. The kings are starting to show up already, which is pretty early. So I'm excited for the season, to be honest with you. This spring, the steelhead fishing was fantastic on the water, and you know, the salmon run the last few years up into the river system was crazy. So if you like fly rods and fighting a 30-pound salmon on a fly rod, it's a 45-minute battle that you're not going to want to, you know, turn the other way on.
Dang. Well, I've never fished over there. One of these days I'm going to have to get over there and do some fishing with you, Pat. In the meantime, we'll see you here soon, and thanks for the time today on the show.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, fellas. Good luck this year.
852 million acres of public land, 147 million private properties, all in the palm of your hand. The #1 hunting GPS app just got better. With hundreds of custom map layers, 3D and topographic maps, you can easily scout on the road or at home before you go. And now you can get important weather details, CWD detection, and even know what crops have been planted where. Get the most trusted hunting GPS app ever made. OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. Devil's Lake is legendary, and this summer has been legendary for walleyes. Don't miss out. Call Haybale Heights Campground and Resort today to book one of their modern cabins on East Bay. The cabins are furnished with a full bathroom, kitchen, and all the amenities like high-speed internet, and are clean following CDC guidelines. Staying at Haybale Heights gives you full access to a private boat launch, fish cleaning station, and beach area. Learn more at haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. Plan your trip to legendary Devil's Lake today.
Did you know there are more than 1,000 lakes in Otter Tail County?
Yep, and I'm gonna fish as many as I can. I'm an outdoorsy otter. Nothing beats a full day of fishing for me. The lakes of Otter Tail County give me plenty of options to lower my boat and snag the perfect catch. Not an outdoorsy otter? No problem. Otter Tail County has something for everyone. You just need to find your inner otter.
To find your inner otter, go to OttertailLakesCountry.com. Now it's time to head up to Lake of the Woods to check in with Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism. Joe, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, but I noticed of four of us on this call, I'm the only one who doesn't have a beard. Am I missing something?
Catch up, Joe.
Yeah.
Do better.
I wish I could grow one. Maybe I'd join you guys.
Well, to me, it's just like added sunscreen, sun protection in the summer when you're out in the boat, and then in the winter, it's just extra insulation to keep you warm out there.
Well, I naturally, if you're an outdoorsman in this case, an outdoors person, but I'd say an outdoorsman, you know what? You're probably going to have that scruffy beard that, you know, it's kind of fits the look. You know, I'm representing all the people that are clean cut that still get out in the outdoors, you know.
Okay.
Sure.
David, that beard's getting a little big again.
Yeah, I got to trim it.
It's got to be hot.
It's not bad.
It was 83 degrees, and you were doing some home demo, and I mean, you had to be sweating in there.
I don't even notice it anymore.
Wow.
I do have to be careful when I trim it, though. Weird tan lines. That'd be a big white patch on my neck.
Well, and to be honest, Joe, when I fish now, I just go with the whole buff deal. I have face covering. I'm all about trying to keep the weird tan lines and the melanoma and everything else at bay. So I'm all about covering all up, and I'm excited for summer fishing. I've got the itch. I was spent last weekend, the opener in Wisconsin, filming at Horicon Marsh, so I didn't get to do any fishing yet. Dan went on like a 5 or 6 day road trip in northern Minnesota where you spent a couple days on Lake of the Woods, didn't you, Dan?
Spent some time at Lake of the Woods, and let me tell you, the vibe up there, people are having fun. They're having fish fries. They're catching big fish. You could just feel everyone's got a little spring in their step now that opener's here. It was even just hanging out at the bar, listening to the groups talk about their day fishing was just a lot of fun, let alone the fishing itself.
Did you get out for opener, Joe?
I did, yeah. You know what? I have to say, though, I didn't make it on my favorite lake, Lake of the Woods. We've had a family fishing contest called the Henry Fishing Classic. You know, it ends up being about 12 or so people, just family, nephews, brothers, things like that. But we've had it for more than 4 decades. So I participated in that again, and great tradition, great family stuff. really neat. And we it's so funny. Back in the day, I mean, I was so freaking fired up to go fishing at midnight, and I'd go fishing at 12:01, right? But I'd get out there and fish all the way through to 5 p.m. Well, now I have a couple beverages a night with my family and hang out and get out at when I want to get out in the morning. It's no big deal. I fish hard when I'm out there, but very nice time. It's part of the Minnesota fishing opener, part tradition, and my tradition of fishing so hard has shifted a little bit to more family oriented and stuff at this stage of the game.
It sounds like Lake of the Woods fishing, where you don't have to get up real early.
Banker's hours.
Well,
Yeah, banker's hours. Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you, for people that don't know, Lake of the Woods with that stained water, you don't have to get out at the crack of dawn. Those fish will bite all day long, and that's why. It's because we have that tint in our water, and all that relates to those walleyes. They're opportunistic, right? Instinctively, a fish will spend as little energy as possible getting a meal. And, with those walleyes and their eyesight, they can see in low light conditions, they can sneak up on their prey. And, with that stained water, it sure makes it nice, doesn't it, you guys? You don't have to get out there at 5 in the morning.
It's great. Well, and I know the weather wasn't exactly the best for the opener around Minnesota. There was some rain, some wind, not the nicest days overall, but I heard people caught fish up there, Joe.
Yeah, we did. We caught a lot of fish. It's been really, really good. In fact, it was funny because I put the fishing report out, and I had to say in there, but it's true. Walleyes are being caught anywhere from 3 feet of water to 30 feet of water. And literally, and I saw some boats. Kurt Quinnell, who's a guide up at Lake of the Woods, did a lot of YouTube videos. He did a video, and part of his video, he was jigging in 3 feet of water, kind of by the Morris Point Gap, where a lot of other boats were too, and they were whacking them. You set that hook, and that fish is almost out of the water.
Yeah. I think I started watching that video. I didn't get to make it all the way through, but I saw him talking about his cool looking pole thingy, I think is what he called it. I think he was using some sort of forward-facing sonar, and I thought that was pretty funny. I saw that on there, and it looked like they caught some fish.
Kurt's a good guy. Before Kurt retired to his cabin up on Long Point of Lake of the Woods, he, did radio in Thief River Falls, and I was on his radio show every Monday morning at 6 a.m. every single week for a number of years.
So now we stole you.
I tell you one thing, it's not 6 a.m.
Yeah, I bet you're glad you don't have to do it at 6 a.m. anymore.
Aren't you happy?
I don't do it at 6 a.m. either. That's
all the people listening at 6 a.m. right now, their minds are exploding.
Yeah. This is pre-recorded. Pre-recorded at 1 in the afternoon, actually. That's the beauty of having my own show. I can set my own hours. Because a lot of the stations, they want you there early in the morning on like a Saturday or a Sunday morning. Could you be here at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning to do the show? No. No. We're going to pre-record it, and then you can hear it at 5 a.m. if you want to. But so Joe, one of the cool things about your job is you get to fish, you get to talk fishing a lot, but you get to meet some interesting people too. And you hosted somebody from the Netherlands this weekend?
Yeah. So, Explore Minnesota Tourism had reached out, and they had they work really hard on all sorts of tourism marketing, and part of it is international tourism marketing. And they had an opportunity to get somebody to come for the governor's fishing opener and then do kind of a familiarization tour of Minnesota fishing. And one of the stops was going to be central. It was going to be, they had a whole set thing, and they called me and asked me, "Hey, Joe, we got this guy who's with the largest fishing magazine in Europe. Would you take him fishing?" I said, "Oh man, absolutely." So it was Sunday of the opening weekend. So what I did is I ended up taking him out fishing, and oh my gosh, we had a hoot. Good guy. He's a guide. Johan Strew is his name, and he's with Beet Magazine, B-E-E-T. Now, my understanding is, and I don't know Dutch, but my understanding is it's almost like bait. It's almost like bait, in translation. Oh, okay. But Beet Magazine, it's the largest magazine in Europe for fishing, and he himself is a guide. He targets giant catfish over there, which get to be as long as 10 feet long. And then he also targets Xander, which is a cousin to the walleye.
Yeah, big, like big walleyes. They get big perch over there, big walleyes, and some of the pike I've seen over there are just chunkers, big fish. But catfish, that's a different kind of catfish over there too, isn't it? Wells catfish. Okay.
And the funny thing is, now, Brett, you'll get a kick out of this because I know you use LiveScope Garmin, but he was telling me the story. He said he uses Garmin Live Scope religiously, looking for those big fish. And he said, when he first heard of Live Scope coming out, he wanted to be the first one in Europe as an angler to have Live Scope. And he contacted the rep for Garmin. He said, man, our pros have to get him first, Johan. We can't do anything. So Johan, what he did is he looked on the internet, found one at Cabela's in America, and ordered it. And he had it, and he was putting videos out before the pros over there. Product, so I don't think they like that too much. They said, "Oh, that's cool." In fact, I was using this product before they even had it in their hands.
That's awesome.
He was quite the character, and it was cool though because we were fishing together and we caught a lot of fish, and he'd be like, "Fish on," and towards the end of the day, it was we clicked real well, and it was real evident that we were cut of the same cloth. It's just that we lived in different parts of the planet, and They had some of the same issues over there with some people not wanting people to fish because it's cruel to the fish, and just a lot of the same stuff that we deal with here. Really a great guy. I mean, if you met Johan, you're like, man, what a good dude, down to earth, and he's a fishing guide. And then he happened to get this gig with a magazine, and then the magazine said, hey, Johan, how would you like to do a little bit of traveling for us? And he's traveled to many different countries on behalf of the magazine. And of course, now he had a chance to come to America.
That's pretty cool. And that Live Scope, I'll tell you what, we saw some pretty cool things on that Live Scope when we were on the Rainy River, Joe, with sturgeon. And seeing a big sturgeon on the Live Scope was pretty neat. And watching one, I filmed Dan fighting a sturgeon on walleye gear, and I filmed the Live Scope watching him bring this sturgeon up and down and watching the sturgeon swimming down at the bottom. And Dan's just like, how long am I going to have to do this? But we just watched a Jay Siemens video, and he was down in Florida. And he was in a kayak, but he was tarpon fishing, and he was sharpshooting them on Live Scope. And cool. Seeing a big sturgeon on Live Scope, I thought was pretty cool. But seeing those tarpon on there was really wild. So, man, that Live Scope just changes the game. It's a lot of fun.
Well, imagine Johan. He's targeting those 10-foot long catfish. They can get as big as 10 feet long, but
what?
He's targeting
10 feet?
10 feet long. 10 feet long.
Wow.
They're massive.
So they're huge, but he's targeting these real big fish. And then, Xander, he said he was trying to explain how big Xander get. And I think, as a rule, around 36 inches is what he was talking about. And,
man.
But I mean, and it's just an interesting guy. And, we sure hit it off good. We had a couple beverages together after fishing, went to dinner with a representative from Explore Minnesota Tourism. I had a real nice time, and just a good dude. It was funny. One of the places we went to have a beer, it just so happened that they had some people some farmers from the Netherlands there that were doing some work here in the United States, and they were there the night before, and they're regulars in that little bar. And the bartender told them, I know the owner, and he said, hey, in fact, if you look in the parking lot, I got a parking sign that says Dutch parking only. Oh, man, one man got all excited, and he had to go take a picture of it. He's like, hey, this is going to end up in the magazine.
That's cool. All right, Joe. Well, if people want to get a trip planned up there this summer to Lake of the Woods, to Rainy River, or start thinking about, further trips down the road, what should they do to get more info?
You know what? Fish are biting? Check out our website. It's lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Sporting Journal Radio is a division of Macaba LLC. If you've got a question, comment, or story idea for us, send us an email. Go to sportingjournalradio.com. While you're there, you can learn how to advertise on the show and visit our store for hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Go to sportingjournalradio.com.